That's not a Buick.
That's what I told him.
That's not a Buick. I'm just kidding. This is actually a Buick. And I know back in the day, Buick decided to do their whole redesign and let everyone know that the old Buick is gone and they're a new redesigned, sexier Buick. So today we're going to talk about the Buick Regal and a little bit about why Buick is maybe possibly going to fail or succeed. I don't know. Stay tuned to find out a little bit more about this Buick. So this specific one is a 2016, and I'm really mostly just using this car as a prop at this point, but I am going to show you guys a couple things that I like and some things that I'm, not too fond of on this Buick Regal. I always found it interesting that if you didn't want a Lexus, and you didn't want an Acura, and you didn't want an Infiniti, and you didn't want a Lincoln, and you didn't want a Cadillac, that you'd end up on one of these. What makes you want one of these Regals, or any of their crossovers or SUVs, or any of their sedans? So that's kind of what I'm here to find out today. What was Buick doing right and what were they doing wrong? So in 2004, Buick decided that they're going to actually discontinue the Regal. So it was gone, dead, chopped, and done. But then in 2011, they decided, you know what? We're going to bring it back into the US. And so they did that for a while, and it actually did all right. It wasn't bad. Their sales numbers have actually started to kind of teeter off. They're kind of just right there in the middle. But overall, Buick's been on a downward decline, and the only thing that's really saved them are the little crossovers, because everyone wants an SUV now. They make the most sense. And so as of 2020, Buick is no longer making sedans, which is probably going to save them. Before we get any further, normally the cars are nice and clean and pristine and ready to go. This one actually just came back from an awesome adventure. Unfortunately, it didn't get a chance to get a car wash today. So forgive me guys. You'll notice that you've got this big huge Buick grille. One thing Buick is doing moving forward is they're no longer putting the word Buick on any of their cars. So they're going to this badge and the little Triforce symbol right there. I think it's nice. If you're going to rebrand yourself, why not come up with a new logo or get rid of something to make those changes? Kind of like how BMW is changing their logo, which frustrates me, but I understand change is inevitable. Whenever they redesigned this Regal, one of the cool things they did is they added cool things like active shutters in the grille, LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, you've got fog lights. There's so many cool things that you get under $30,000, and even right about the $35,000 marker for a fully loaded one of these, you could actually get some pretty nice options. Before I get to the best part of the Buick, which is under the hood, and that's with most cars because without a motor, you're not going anywhere. On the used car market though, this is where you really shine and get some bang for your buck, because on the used market, these don't hold value really well. A Buick never really has, not since like the 80s, 90s. And the one thing about this that I gotta say is you can get so many different options. You've got front wheel drive, all wheel drive, manual transmission, automatic transmission, turbo, non-turbo, all different sorts of options, and you can actually get the fully loaded GS. And the GS, let me just tell you guys a story. I had one of those try to race me when I had my WRX. Well, it wasn't really a race. It was more of a competition. I think his speedometer was broken and he was just trying to see if he could match my speed or whatever. Either way, it was really fast and it gave my WRX some run for its money. One day here, eventually. Let's do this. Okay, oh, there it is. All right, so under this one is a 2-liter inline-4 turbo. This motor makes 259 horsepower and 295 foot-pounds of torque. This one has the automatic transmission, but if you're a true enthusiast, you can go for the 6-speed manual. The automatic, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Gas mileage, 30 highway, about 21 so city, and it drops a little bit if you have the all-wheel drive, about 27 on the highway. Just to show you guys how cool Buick was, you had a hydraulic hood strut. Even a 2019 Ford Mustang GT does not have that. Oh yeah. I'm gonna pause right here because Buick has let me down. Fake hood vents. How could you? One thing I love that Buick offers, remote start. So all you do is you just push this little guy right there, car starts right up. Believe it or not, you do get keyless entry. So you just push this little button right here. Easy enough. But that's not all that fancy. What is fancy is for the low price of like $26,000, $27,000 starting brand new, you could actually get this on the rear. So you can open and close your back doors all from here. Something I find pretty interesting, Buick actually released a statistic and it said that 60% of their turbo buyers or turbo specific car buyers are under the age of 55. And I was like, man, that's pretty impressive. Good on you, Buick. But then someone did some digging and they actually found that the average age of all Buick drivers is 70 years old. So based on my math, that would mean that there are a bunch of 80-year-olds driving Buicks, so they haven't quite targeted the younger audience. But what they have managed to do is give away cars for huge discounts, because back in the day, there was the average discount of about 20% off of brand new Buicks. So you could just walk in and they would just give you cars. I'm still trying to figure out why anyone would choose Buick over Cadillac, Lincoln, Acura, Infiniti, Genesis. I don't know. There's a lot out there that are in that middle level luxury sedan market. And so they had a lot of competition, and there was no way that Buick was going to be able to pull the BMW, Mercedes, Audi guys into their market. But anywho, as you take a look, you'll see that Buick badge right there, and you'll see the Buick marker. But again, that's going to be gone, so you don't see that anymore. They're getting away from that old school Buick back in the day. And then you'll see you got dual exhaust, which is sporty and hip and very young and youthful. And then you've got this Regal with this T right here, and it's in red to let you know that it's a turbo. So there's really not much else to it. You do get parking sensors back here as well, which is very mid-level and fancy luxury type of feature. And again, in 2016, you're getting all of this standard. Honestly, there's nothing to show you guys back here. It's a mid-size sedan, typical. As I have gotten older, my shoulders have started to hurt a little bit, and I like this trunk right here because it's so light. Like, I could just, you know, one finger this. I don't need two fingers for this. So here I am in the back seat. I'm about 5'9", and I've got the seat positioned a little bit taller than myself, so right now I'm pretty comfortable. How often are you guys driving around 6 foot tall giants? You don't get much back here, but you do get rear climate vents, but you don't have the ability to control the climate from back here. You do get nice leather though, which is pretty soft. Other than that though, pretty standard. It almost reminds me a little bit of a Chevy, like a Chevy Malibu. These are 16-way adjustable seats. You do get memory seats, and overall they're not bad. You do get a sunroof. One bone to pick. Look at all the space that's up here. So you've got your sunroof controls here, right there. And then these are your garage door controls. But what is all this for? What are you doing with all this extra space? I don't know. You do get your little OnStar buttons right here. Let me see if I can get a better shot for you guys. Which, a lot of this interior, you'll notice that if you've been in any GM products, you've seen a lot of this before. A lot of this interior reminds me of the Chevy Malibu. And look at this turnstock. This is from most GM cars. And on top of that, half these don't work. So this little twist doesn't do anything. There's a button on the end. They're not utilizing that. And what's super interesting is you got this nice steering wheel, which is pretty comfortable, good size and all. But then you've got your heated steering wheel button right there. And then this is for your, guess what? Your collision alert. Why is that readily available here on your steering wheel? I'm not quite sure I understand that one. Overall though, everything else is pretty standard. This is how you navigate through your menu. I'm not a huge fan of having that up here. I kind of like how the other Chevy models and GMCs have it here, so that way it's out of the way until you need it. You do get push start, and it does have stop start capability. The gas mileage on this is actually pretty impressive once you realize that you have about a 16 gallon tank, I believe. So 549 miles remaining till E. I can get behind that. Tire pressure, average speed. I don't know why that says only 34 miles an hour. I was definitely going faster than that. You do have the ability to control your radio stations and all that stuff here. Other than that though, analog gauges, nothing fancy, super straightforward, all the information that you need. Over here, you'll find that you do have your lane departure warning. So you could turn that on and off, which it's pretty annoying. I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. But then you've got your audio, your phone. You can actually do like your projection, so you can tie your phone into all of this. Read your text messages, check the weather. There's a lot that this IntelliLink system offers. And overall, I mean, for 2016, this was actually pretty solid. I think even for 2019, 2020, it's still comparable. It still does a good job. What I don't like is this. There's a little bit of a delay. Okay, now it wants to behave. Okay, we'll find then. Anyways, I'm not a huge fan of having touchscreen climate control buttons. Your heated seats control right here. So that's kind of a pain too, but they work well. And then all the rest of your climate controls, and you do have dual climate control. That's standard. So overall, pretty good interior. Take a look at the quality of this backup camera. It needs a little work. It's kind of like how iPhones used to be back in the day. Don't forget, you get a Bose sound system. Stop. Stay still. I'm trying to film. All right, so let me just touch on those safety features and all the things I just talked about there. In 2016, you guys may not remember, it may have been a while for some of you, but that's a lot to offer in a car under $30,000. And yes, it's a Buick and it's not that fast and it's blah, 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 this, whatever other excuses that you can justify to get your Lexus, your Acura, your blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. But this was a pretty good value. And I think that's kind of the best thing about Buick is they offer a lot of car for the money. You know, you could spend a lot of money and get a BMW, but then by the time you option out all these things, you end up at a $60,000, $70,000 car pretty quick, starting at $50,000. So things can get out of hand. But with a Buick, especially with the deals they were offering, that's kind of hard to beat. And personally, if I was going to be, you know, buying my teenage kid a car and someone told me that Buicks were the deals that they have right now, I would jump on it because, you know, they're safe. They're for the more seasoned folks in our community, and it's comfortable. It rides nice. Oh, I'm spoiling a lot. I haven't even started driving yet. But anyways, in a nutshell, this is a pretty solid platform that Buick has here. With all that being said, I'm not saying that Buicks are for older people or anything like that, because the owner of this car, which my mama told me never to ask a woman her age, she's not a day over 21. So driving the Buick Regal. I'm not sure what you guys expect. It's comfortable. It kind of reminds me of Cadillac in a way. I like it a lot. I would take it on road trips, and that's about it. What else? It's pretty peppy, comfortable ride, very good daily. If you're really not one that cares about cars like that, I would strongly say to keep Buick on your list and maybe help revitalize them, because unfortunately, with all the stuff going on in the economy right now and the tariffs and the trade embargoes and all sorts of things that I don't want to talk about because I'm no expert, it's becoming hard for Buick to sell cars in China, which is their biggest consumer. So because of that, they've been having a hard time, you know, justifying keeping the company around. And you guys have seen what GM does when they have to make decisions and cut certain car companies like Hummer, Pontiac, Saturn, all of those. Rest in peace to all of you. Buick is supposed to be on that chopping list, and it's not because of all the heritage and the roots that it has in American culture, just like Cadillac and Lincoln. I don't think that was justifiable. I would have kept Pontiac, but that's just me. So make sure that you guys press F for respect or have a moment of silence and, you know, RIP to those brands. Horsepower! Oh, man. Little turbo's quick. Ooh. All right, so this thing is no slouch. One of the last things that I want you guys to take away from this is an Opel. So if you're all about having that foreign brand, basically this is not an American car, it's European, but you don't have to tell anyone that. And if you're not someone that cares about the brands and you don't want the big caddy badge or anything like that, then buy a Buick because you will enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not an unreliable brand. There's nothing that's expensive about them to maintain. Parts are plenty. They're just made up of GM parts bins things, but you get so much. Heated seats, you know, dual climate control, all that stuff that's super fancy and should be standard nowadays, but under 30,000, unless you're going super shopping on the used car market. Low mileage on these, and they don't hold their value, but hey, guess what? The first owner already took that hit, so unfortunately for them, you're winning. If you made it this far, thank you guys so much for checking out yet another video in LJ's Garage. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and comment down below and let me know your thoughts on Buick as a brand or the Regal as a car. See you guys next time.